There is a quiet moment that decides your future. It does not look dramatic. It does not come with music. It does not feel powerful. It usually happens when you are tired, when your phone is close, when the bed feels comfortable, when your mind says, not now, when your body says, later, when the work is waiting, and you are standing between two versions of yourself. One version chooses comfort. The other version chooses growth. One version says, I will start tomorrow. The other version says, I will start with one small step now. That moment may look small, but your life is built inside moments like that. Most people think discipline begins when they feel strong, but real discipline begins when strength is missing. It begins when motivation is gone. It begins when your mood is low. It begins when nobody is watching. It begins when the task feels boring. It begins when the old version of you wants to escape. That is the place where your future is trained. Not in the perfect morning, not in the perfect plan, not when everything feels easy, but in the ordinary moment where you choose to move anyway. Laziness is not always a character problem. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is tiredness. Sometimes it is emotional heaviness. Sometimes it is confusion. Sometimes it is the mind trying to avoid discomfort. But if you obey that feeling every time, your life becomes smaller. You start trusting your resistance more than your vision. You start waiting for energy instead of building it. You start needing motivation before action. And slowly, your dreams begin to depend on your mood. That is dangerous, because your mood changes. Your goals cannot be built on something so unstable. The person you want to become will require a deeper system, a quiet system, a stronger system, a way of moving even when your feelings are not ready. This is not about becoming harsh with yourself. It is not about hating rest. It is not about working every second. It is about learning the difference between real rest and emotional escape. It is about knowing when your body needs recovery and when your mind is simply avoiding effort. It is about becoming the kind of person who can keep a promise to themselves, even when the promise feels inconvenient. There is a powerful sentence you must remember. You do not need to feel ready to begin. You only need to begin small enough that resistance cannot defeat you. That is where discipline starts. Not with intensity, with return. Not with perfection, with repetition. Not with a dramatic transformation. With one honest action done when comfort was calling your name. Chapter 1. Why you keep waiting to feel ready. Most people do not fail because they have no dreams. They fail because they keep waiting for the right feeling. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel clear. They wait to feel energetic. They wait for a better day, a better mood, a better routine, a better version of themselves. But the right feeling does not always arrive first. Many times, the feeling comes after action. Energy often comes after movement. Clarity often comes after starting. Confidence often comes after repetition. This is why waiting can become a trap. It feels responsible. It feels reasonable. It feels like preparation. But many times it is fear wearing a calm face. You tell yourself, I am not ready, but maybe you are simply uncomfortable. You tell yourself, I need more time, but maybe time is not the problem. You tell yourself, I need the perfect plan, but maybe a simple start would teach you more than another plan. The mind is very clever. It knows how to make delay look intelligent. It says, research more, think more, prepare more, wait for Monday, wait for next month, wait until life becomes less busy, wait until you feel inspired. But life rarely becomes perfectly ready for your goals. There will always be something, a tired morning, a stressful day, a distraction, a doubt, a mood swing, a small problem that feels big. If you keep waiting for a perfect internal state, you may wait for years. Discipline begins when you stop asking your mood for permission. Your mood can be heard, but it cannot be the leader. Your feelings matter, but they are not always wise. Sometimes your feelings protect you. Sometimes they trap you. Sometimes they warn you. Sometimes they only want comfort. A disciplined life does not ignore emotion. It simply refuses to be ruled by every emotion. Think about how many times you felt lazy before starting something. Then, after 5 minutes, the task felt easier. The mountain became smaller. The fear became quieter. The resistance lost strength. Nothing magical happened. You simply moved. Movement changed the state of your mind. This is important. Your mind often exaggerates the difficulty of starting. Before the task, it feels huge. During the task, it becomes normal. After the task, you feel lighter. The pain was mostly at the door, not inside the room. Starting is the door. That is where most people lose. They do not lose because the work is impossible. They lose because the entrance feels uncomfortable. They stare at the task. They imagine the whole journey. They think about the time it will take. They think about how far they are behind. They think about previous failures. Then the task becomes too heavy before it even begins. A disciplined person does not fight the whole journey at once. They reduce the battle. They ask what is the next small action, not the whole book. One page, not the whole workout. One set, not the whole project. 5 minutes. Not the whole life change. One honest choice. This is how resistance is weakened, not by shouting at yourself, by making the beginning smaller. Many people confuse discipline with punishment. They think discipline means forcing yourself with anger. They imagine a harsh voice inside the mind. Get up, work harder, stop being weak, do more. But that kind of pressure does not last for everyone. It may work for a day. It may work during anger. It may work after embarrassment. But eventually the mind becomes tired of being attacked. True discipline is not self-hatred. It is self-leadership. Self-hatred says, I am useless if I do not do this. Self-leadership says, this matters, so I will take one step. Self-hatred creates fear. Self-leadership creates trust. Self-hatred burns energy. Self-leadership builds identity. You are not trying to become a machine. You are trying to become dependable. There is a difference. A machine never feels tired. A dependable person feels tired and still knows how to choose wisely. A machine never doubts. A dependable person doubts and still returns. A machine does not need compassion. A dependable person needs both discipline and care. This balance matters, because some days you truly need rest. Real rest is clean. It restores you. It gives energy back. It helps you return stronger. But escape is different. Escape makes you more tired. It gives a short comfort and a long regret. You scroll for 1 hour, then feel worse. You delay the work, then carry stress all day. You avoid the hard conversation, then your mind repeats it all night. You skip the task, then your confidence becomes smaller. The action was avoided, but the weight remained. That is the hidden cost of laziness. It does not remove the task. It only moves the pain into the future. And future pain usually comes with interest. The work becomes bigger. The guilt becomes louder. The confidence becomes weaker. The habit becomes stronger. Then a dangerous thought appears. Maybe this is just who I am. Do not accept that sentence too quickly. A pattern is not a permanent identity. A habit is not a life sentence. A difficult season is not your final name. You may be untrained. You may be overwhelmed. You may be distracted. You may be tired. You may be avoiding discomfort. But those things can be worked with. A person can train focus. A person can rebuild energy. A person can reduce distractions. A person can learn how to start. A person can become disciplined one small promise at a time. The first step is honesty, not shame. Honesty. Ask yourself what you are really avoiding. Is it the work or the feeling that comes with the work? Are you avoiding the task or the fear of doing it badly? Are you avoiding effort or the reminder that you are not where you want to be? Are you avoiding discipline or the discomfort of meeting your own standards? Many times, laziness is not laziness. It is fear of effort without immediate reward. It is fear of being average in the beginning. It is fear of facing how much work is required. It is fear of losing the fantasy of success. Because dreaming is comfortable, planning is comfortable, watching motivational videos is comfortable, talking about change is comfortable, but doing the work brings truth. It shows your current level. It reveals your gaps. It demands patience. It removes the illusion. That is why many people stay in preparation. Preparation lets them feel close to success without risking failure. But your future will not be built by preparation alone. At some point, you must meet the work. Imperfectly, quietly, repeatedly, even before you feel ready, especially before you feel ready. Readiness is often the reward of beginning, not the requirement. When you start, the path becomes clearer. When you repeat, skill grows. When skill grows, confidence follows. When confidence follows, the work feels less frightening. But if you wait for confidence first, you may never start. This is the cycle disciplined people understand. Action creates evidence. Evidence creates belief. Belief creates identity. Identity creates consistency. Consistency creates results. The old pattern works the opposite way. Delay creates guilt. Guilt creates doubt. Doubt creates avoidance. Avoidance creates a weak identity. A weak identity creates more delay. You do not break that cycle with a perfect plan. You break it with one completed action. Small but completed, simple but real, not imagined, not planned, not promised. Done, that word matters. Done gives the mind evidence. Done tells your nervous system I can trust myself. Done makes the next action easier. Done turns discipline from an idea into proof. So stop waiting for the perfect feeling. Start creating evidence. Chapter 2, the first 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes can change everything. Not because 5 minutes is enough to complete every goal, but because 5 minutes is enough to break the spell of resistance. Before you begin, your mind creates noise. It says the task is too hard. It says you are too tired. It says tomorrow will be better. It says you need more motivation. It says this small effort will not matter. But once you begin, the noise often becomes weaker. The mind stops arguing with imagination. It starts dealing with reality. Reality is usually easier than imagination. The task becomes one movement, one sentence, one page, one file, one step. The body is now involved. The mind has less space to dramatize. This is why the first 5 minutes are powerful. They are not about finishing. They are about entering. Most people try to feel disciplined before they start, but discipline often appears after the first small action. You do not need to promise 2 hours. Promise 5 minutes. You do not need to become a new person today. Become someone who starts. Starting is an identity. It tells the mind, I do not negotiate forever. I may be tired. I may be unsure. I may be slow. But I begin. That identity is powerful because many lives are not stuck by lack of talent. They are stuck by lack of starting. A person can have ability and still remain behind. A person can have dreams and still remain stuck. A person can know what to do and still avoid doing it. Knowledge does not change your life until action carries it. The 5-minute rule is simple. When you feel lazy, do the task for 5 minutes. Only 5. Do it badly if needed. Do it slowly if needed. Do it without emotion if needed. But begin. Open the notebook. Wear the shoes. Write the first line. Clean the first corner. Read the first page. Practice the first problem. Record the first idea. Send the first message. The goal is not perfection. The goal is contact. You are making contact with the work. Once contact happens, momentum has a chance. Momentum is not created by thinking, it is created by motion. A parked car needs more force to start moving. Once it moves, it becomes easier to continue. Your mind works in a similar way. Starting feels heavy. Continuing often feels lighter, so stop trying to solve the whole task in your head. Just create motion. There is also another benefit. 5 minutes removes fear. A long task feels threatening. 5 minutes feels survivable. The mind can accept it. The body can accept it. Resistance cannot argue as strongly. If you say, I must work for 3 hours, your mind may rebel. If you say, I will work for 5 minutes, the gate opens. After 5 minutes, you can choose to continue. Most of the time, you will. And even if you stop, you still kept a promise. That matters, because discipline is not only measured by how much you do. It is also measured by whether you keep the smallest promises. When you keep a small promise, self-trust grows. When you break small promises repeatedly, self-trust weakens. Nobody may see it, but you feel it. You feel it when you say, I will wake up early, then you do not. You feel it when you say, I will study tonight, then you avoid it. You feel it when you say, I will stop scrolling, then 1 hour disappears. You feel it when you say, tomorrow I will change, then tomorrow becomes the same. Each broken promise sends a quiet message. I cannot rely on myself. That message hurts confidence. Not immediately, slowly. You may still look normal. But inside, you begin to doubt your own words. The opposite is also true. Every kept promise sends a new message. I do what I said, even in small ways, even when it is not perfect, even when it is only 5 minutes. This message rebuilds confidence. Real confidence does not come only from positive thinking. It comes from remembered evidence. You trust yourself because you have seen yourself act. You believe in yourself because you have watched yourself return. You respect yourself because you have kept promises when comfort was available. That is why the first 5 minutes matter. They are not just minutes. They are proof. Proof that you can begin. Proof that laziness is not stronger than you. Proof that your mood does not control every choice. Proof that discipline can be trained. But there is a trap here. Some people use the 5-minute rule once. Then they expect instant transformation. They begin one day, then stop the next. Then they say it did not work, but discipline is not a one-time trick. It is a relationship with repetition. You do not become fit from one workout. You do not become skilled from one practice. You do not become focused from one productive day. You become disciplined by returning. Again, and again, and again, not dramatically, consistently. The 5-minute rule must become a doorway you use often. Every time resistance appears, return to the doorway. 5 minutes, start small. Reduce the battle, create motion, let momentum decide the rest. There will be days when 5 minutes becomes 1 hour. There will be days when 5 minutes stays 5 minutes. Both days matter. Because on the difficult day, 5 minutes protects the habit from dying. That is important. A habit does not need perfection to survive. It needs continuation. Many people quit because they miss one full day. They think the streak is broken, then they abandon everything. This is another trap. Discipline does not require never falling. It requires returning quickly. If you miss the morning, return in the evening. If you miss one day, return the next day. If you fail for a week, return today. Do not make one mistake into an identity. Do not let one lazy day become a lazy life. The fastest return wins, not the perfect record. The fastest return. A disciplined person is not someone who never slips. A disciplined person is someone who does not build a house inside the slip. They leave quickly. They come back to the path. They understand that shame wastes energy, so they use the energy to restart. This is why you must remove drama from discipline. You do not need a huge emotional speech every time. You do not need to hate yourself into action. You do not need to wait for a new month. You simply return. Quietly, cleanly, now. The smaller the restart, the faster the recovery. Imagine you skipped your workout. The old mind says, I failed. The disciplined mind says, I will do 10 push-ups now. Imagine you wasted 2 hours. The old mind says the day is ruined. The disciplined mind says, I will use the next 20 minutes well. Imagine you ate badly. The old mind says, I have no control. The disciplined mind says the next meal can be better. Imagine you avoided your studies. The old mind says, I am behind forever. The disciplined mind says, 1 page now. This is how disciplined people think. They do not worship failure. They correct direction. They do not wait for a perfect reset. They take the next useful action. This is practical power, not motivational noise. Useful action, that phrase can save you. When you feel stuck, ask, what is the next useful action? Not the most impressive action, not the biggest action, not the action that fixes everything. The next useful action, drink water, open the file, clean the desk, read the first paragraph, write the first idea, put the phone away, walk for 10 minutes, sleep on time, send the message, ask for help. Small, useful actions create movement. Movement creates life. There is another reason 5 minutes works. It separates your identity from your mood. Your mood says, I do not feel like it. Your identity says, I start anyway. Your mood says, this is boring. Your identity says, boredom is part of training. Your mood says, stop. Your identity says, 5 minutes first. Over time, identity becomes stronger than mood. This is the goal, not to remove emotion, but to become bigger than it. You can feel lazy and still begin. You can feel tired and still do something small. You can feel doubtful and still practice. You can feel bored and still stay. You can feel resistance and still choose. That is discipline, not the absence of resistance. The ability to move with resistance present. The first 5 minutes are where this ability is built. So when laziness comes, do not start a debate. Do not negotiate for 30 minutes. Do not scroll for motivation. Do not wait until you feel inspired. Start the clock. 5 minutes. One action, no drama. After 5 minutes, you will know what to do next. Chapter 3, Building an Identity That Does Not Quit. Discipline becomes easier when it becomes part of who you are. At first, discipline feels like something you do. Later, it becomes someone you are. This shift is important. If discipline is only a task, you will do it only when conditions are good. If discipline becomes identity, you carry it into difficult conditions. A task says, I need to study today. An identity says, I am someone who does not abandon learning. A task says, I need to work out. An identity says, I take care of my body. A task says, I need to write. An identity says, I create even when it is imperfect. A task says, I need to stop wasting time. An identity says, I respect my future. Identity gives action deeper meaning. The action is no longer just a checkbox. It becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every small action is a vote. When you wake up on time, you vote for discipline. When you keep scrolling, you vote for distraction. When you start before feeling ready, you vote for courage. When you delay again, you vote for avoidance. When you return after failing, you vote for resilience. You do not become a person from one vote. You become a person from repeated votes. This means one mistake does not destroy you. One lazy day does not define you. One missed task does not decide your identity. But repeated choices create a direction. That direction becomes familiar. Then familiar becomes identity. So the question is simple. What kind of person are you voting for today? Not through words, through action. Many people say they want a better life, but their daily votes support the old life. They say they want health, then vote for neglect. They say they want success, then vote for delay. They say they want peace, then vote for chaos. They say they want discipline, then vote for comfort every time discomfort appears. This is not to shame anyone. It is to create awareness. Your life listens more to your actions than your intentions. Intentions are important, but actions are louder. You may intend to change, you may intend to work hard, you may intend to build a future, but if your actions keep choosing the old pattern remains in control. This is why identity must be trained through behavior. Do not start by saying, I am perfectly disciplined. That may feel false. Start with something believable. I am becoming someone who starts. I am becoming someone who returns. I am becoming someone who keeps small promises. I am becoming someone who does not let laziness decide everything. This language matters. It gives your mind a path, not pressure to be perfect. A path to become. Becoming is powerful because it allows progress. You can be imperfect and still becoming. You can be slow and still becoming. You can fail and still becoming. You can struggle and still becoming. The old identity may still speak. It may say this is not you. It may say you always quit. It may say you are lazy. It may say you cannot stay consistent. Do not argue for hours. Answer with action. The old identity loses power when new evidence appears, not when you think about discipline. When you practice it, small evidence repeated becomes a new self-image. One morning does not change everything, but 10 mornings change something. One workout does not change everything, but 30 workouts change something. One focus session does not change everything, but repeated focus changes how you see yourself. Eventually, the action feels less foreign. You stop asking, can I do this? You start saying, this is what I do. That is identity, and identity reduces inner conflict. When something is part of who you are, you do not debate it as much. A person who sees themselves as honest does not need to argue every time they can lie. A person who sees themselves as healthy does not need to debate every basic choice. A person who sees themselves as disciplined still feels resistance. But they do not treat resistance as the leader. They know what kind of person they are practicing to be. This is why you must protect the words you use about yourself. Do not casually say, I am lazy. Say, I am training discipline. Do not say, I always quit. Say, I am learning to return faster. Do not say, I have no control. Say, I am building self-control one choice at a time. Do not say, I cannot focus. Say, I am rebuilding my focus. Words are not magic, but repeated words shape attention. And attention shapes behavior. If you keep calling yourself lazy, your mind collects proof. If you start calling yourself someone in training, your mind looks for opportunities to practice. Your identity should challenge you without crushing you. It should be honest and hopeful, honest enough to admit the current pattern, hopeful enough to believe the pattern can change. Another key to identity is environment. It is difficult to become disciplined in an environment designed for distraction. If your phone is beside you, your focus will fight harder. If your bed is your workspace, your body will want rest. If your room is chaotic, your mind may feel heavy. If every app is open, your attention will keep leaking. Discipline is not only willpower, it is design. Make the right action easier, make the wrong action harder. Put the phone away, prepare your workspace, keep the book visible, keep the shoes ready, block the app. Clean the desk. Decide the task before the time begins. Do not make your future self fight unnecessary battles. Your future self is not a superhero. Your future self is you with a different mood, so help them. Prepare the environment before motivation disappears. A disciplined person does not rely only on strength. They reduce friction. They create systems. They understand that the mind follows the easiest path when tired, so they make the useful path easier to enter. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. If you know you waste time after waking up, keep the phone away from the bed. If you know you avoid workouts, keep your clothes ready. If you know you delay studying, prepare the exact topic the night before. If you know you get distracted online, remove the shortcut. If you know you quit when the task feels big, write the first small step. Systems protect discipline from mood. They carry you when motivation disappears. Another identity tool is the minimum standard. A minimum standard is the smallest version of the habit that still counts. For fitness, it may be 10 minutes. For study, 1 page. For writing, 1 paragraph. For cleaning, 5 minutes. For meditation, 1 minute. For reading, 1 page. The minimum standard keeps the identity alive. On good days, do more. On bad days, do the minimum. This prevents the all-or-nothing trap. All-or-nothing thinking destroys consistency. It says, if I cannot do the full workout, I will do nothing. If I cannot study for 3 hours, I will do nothing. If I cannot write perfectly, I will do nothing. If I already failed today, I will do nothing. This mindset turns small problems into complete stops. Discipline needs a middle path. Something is better than nothing. A small return is better than a full collapse. A minimum standard is better than losing the habit. Do not underestimate small actions. A small action done daily becomes identity. A huge action done once becomes memory. You are not trying to impress yourself once. You are trying to become someone you can trust. Trust is built through consistency. Consistency is protected by minimum standards. Minimum standards are protected by humility. Humility says today may not be perfect, but I can still do something. That something matters. The world may not see it, but your identity records it. Your mind notices. Your confidence notices. Your future notices. This is how a person changes. Not by announcing a new life, by quietly voting for it every day. Chapter 4, Discipline on the Days Nobody Sees. The most important work often happens in silence. No applause, no audience, no one checking, no one praising, no one forcing you, just you and the choice. This is where discipline becomes real. It is easy to act disciplined when people are watching. It is easier to work hard when there is pressure. It is easier to stay consistent when the reward is close. But your true standard appears when nobody sees the effort, when you could skip and nobody would know, when you could delay and nobody would question it, when you could choose comfort and the world would continue. That private moment shapes you, because every private choice teaches you who you are. You may hide the choice from others, but you cannot hide it from yourself. Your self-respect is built in private. It is not built only by big success. It is built when you do the small thing you said you would do, even without recognition. That is why unseen discipline is so powerful. It creates inner strength, a quiet kind. The kind that does not need to post everything. The kind that does not need constant validation. The kind that works because the work matters. This is where many people struggle. They want the result to be visible quickly. They want the body to change fast. They want the money to grow fast. They want the skill to appear fast. They want the channel to succeed fast. They want the exam result fast. They want proof immediately. But meaningful growth usually has a silent season. A season where the work is happening, but the result is not obvious. You study, but marks have not changed yet. You train, but the mirror looks the same. You save, but the number feels small. You create, but views are low. You practice, but skill still feels rough. This stage tests your character, because the mind starts asking, is this even working? That question is dangerous when it comes too early. A seed does not become a tree in one day. But if you dig it up every morning to check, it never grows. Some growth needs protection before it becomes visible. Your discipline is like that. You must keep watering the process before the result proves itself. This is hard in a world that rewards appearance. People show the finished body, the final success, the money, the lifestyle, the achievement, but they rarely show the boring repetitions, the failed attempts, the lonely practice, the dull mornings, the small corrections, the emotional resistance, the years where nothing looked impressive. If you only admire results, discipline will feel unfair. But if you respect the process, repetition becomes meaningful. You begin to understand that boring work is not wasted work. Boring work is often the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Discipline is not always exciting. Most of the time, it is ordinary, doing the same useful thing again, returning to the same promise, practicing the same skill, choosing the same standard. Not because it feels new, because it still matters. This is why boredom must be respected. Many people quit because they are bored. They think boredom means something is wrong, but boredom often means the work has become real. The early excitement is gone. The fantasy has faded. Now only the habit remains. This is where results are built. A disciplined person learns to stay with boring work. They do not need every session to feel inspiring. They do not need every day to feel special. They understand that repetition is the price of mastery. The problem is that distraction has trained many minds to expect constant stimulation. Fast videos, quick rewards, endless scrolling, instant entertainment, easy dopamine. Then real work feels slow, a book feels slow, a workout feels slow, a business feels slow, a skill feels slow, studying feels slow, healing feels slow, but slow does not mean useless. Slow often means deep. The things that change your life usually require patience. And patience feels uncomfortable to a mind addicted to speed. So part of discipline is learning to tolerate slowness, to sit with the task, to stay without checking the phone, to continue when results are not immediate, to work without being entertained every second. This is not just productivity, it is mental strength. Your attention is one of your most valuable assets. Where it goes, your life follows. If your attention is always stolen, your future becomes weak. If your attention is trained, your future becomes stronger. Discipline protects attention. It says this matters more than the distraction. This goal deserves my focus. This promise deserves my time. This future deserves my effort. There will be days when nobody understands your effort. They may think you are doing too much. They may laugh at your routine. They may not see why you care. They may call it boring. They may not respect the small steps. Let them. Your future is not built by their understanding. It is built by your consistency. You do not need everyone to see the work. You need the work to shape you. One day, the result will speak. But before the result speaks, your discipline must keep whispering. Do it again. Return again, start again, stay again, choose again. That quiet whisper becomes powerful over time. There is another truth. Discipline is easier when your reason is clear. A weak reason cannot survive a strong distraction. A vague goal cannot survive a tired evening. You need to know why the work matters, not in a shallow way, in a personal way. Why do you want to change? What will happen if you do not? Who are you becoming? What future are you protecting? What pain are you tired of repeating? What standard are you ready to live by? When your reason becomes clear, discipline becomes less about force. It becomes about alignment. You are not just studying. You are building options. You are not just exercising. You are protecting your body. You are not just saving money. You are buying freedom. You are not just practicing. You are becoming skilled. You are not just waking early. You are respecting the day. Meaning gives energy to repetition. Without meaning, discipline feels like punishment. With meaning, discipline feels like devotion. Devotion to your future. Devotion to your growth. Devotion to the person you are becoming. Still, even with meaning, hard days will come. You will feel lazy. You will feel tired. You will feel tempted. You will feel bored. You will feel behind. Do not panic. Hard days are part of the training. They are not proof that you failed. They are opportunities to practice the exact strength you asked for. You wanted discipline. This is where it is built, not when everything is easy. When the old pattern returns and you choose differently. Maybe not perfectly, but differently. That small difference matters. A little less scrolling. A little faster return. A little more honesty. A little more focus. A little more courage. That is progress. Do not disrespect small progress because it is not dramatic. Small progress repeated becomes transformation. You do not need to become perfect today. You need to become slightly more dependable. That is enough for today. Then do it again tomorrow. Ending, do the work anyway. There will be days when motivation does not come. There will be mornings when your body feels heavy. There will be evenings when your mind wants escape. There will be moments when the old version of you feels louder. That does not mean you are failing. It means you are at the place where discipline is trained. Do not wait to feel ready. Begin small. Do not wait to feel confident. Create evidence. Do not wait for the perfect mood. Take the next useful action. The life you want is not built only on inspired days. It is built on the days you return, the days you begin with low energy, the days you do 5 minutes instead of nothing, the days you keep a small promise, the days you choose your future over your comfort. You do not need to hate yourself into discipline. You need to lead yourself into it, with honesty, with patience, with standards, with small actions that prove a new identity. Remember this. Laziness loses power when action begins. Fear loses power when evidence grows. Doubt loses power when you keep returning. The old identity loses power when your choices stop feeding it. So start where you are. Not where you wish you were. Use what you have, not what you think you need. Do what is next, not what is perfect. 5 minutes, one page, one set, one paragraph, one promise, one return. That is how discipline begins. That is how self-trust returns. That is how a new life is built. Quietly, repeatedly, honestly. When comfort calls, listen for a moment. Then remember your future. When excuses appear, breathe. Then take the next useful action. When motivation disappears, do not panic. You are not powerless. You can still move. You can still begin. You can still return. You can still become the kind of person who does the work anyway. Not because it is easy, because your future matters. Not because you always feel like it, because your standards are stronger than your mood. Not because anyone is watching, because you are watching. And the person you become is shaped by what you do when nobody forces you. So do the work, start small, return fast, keep the promise, build the identity. Let discipline become your quiet power.